First thing I would like to do is open up with a rhetorical question. Like, who wants to be controlled, or who knows what it's like to be, or that's a rhetorical question, like, even more rhetorical than the first one, but who knows what it's like to be controlled? But anyway, I digress. The point is, emotion is very key. Obviously, that's like the main topic, like, be emotional. Like, there's obviously reasons to be emotional, and I have done it twice, which is pretty awesome. Aspect of an emotional quality, and then, which is non-physical, and then creating a physical manifestation. Very basic. So congratulations to all the beings. It took what felt like 30 years, but it's only like 24 hours. So that's good. Manifestation and intent. There's another one, but intention meditation, of course, is important to do intention meditation. I'm really good at it, and I'm going to get better at it, so that's good. Lots of important motions moving forward in that aspect. Super key things that are happening on the frontier of life, which is one thing that I'm on. I'm on the frontier, working on the frontier, being on the frontier, because I've been on the frontier for the past few years, and not that it really matters, Earth time, because there's other planets that we need to like wrap around and evolve with, so we're just I'm just giving that example just to say that it's there, just physically, and then other higher dimensional frequency beings can go through, or to be here, or observe, or whatever they do. Now, for specifics, or just in general, like about the light and the dark, light, because I have to really admonish this point about how darkness, just the analogy of darkness, no one has a flashlight in the darkness, but once someone has the flashlight, they can see things around them, they can see shapes and forms and etc., and so that's what the DNA is doing. And I can't really describe what the DNA is doing, because ultimately I am still physical, or it's not about me, but physicality is still in existence. So ultimately, emotion plus physicality is a good response for DNA. DNA is combining into that spiral thing, and the school is really good. It helps both left and right side, right divinity and left divinity, become divine, and then allowing divinity to activate divinity within oneself, and then allowing divinity to truly accelerate. But once again, I digress. The things that we know is just really things that we just know. It's not just about remembering. And I seem to be scattered all over the place right now, and not really sticking to a topic. But I'm trying to keep the vibrations as high as possible in order to allow many different things in the visions. For example, to be honest, there are visions that I've created, and there are projects that I've created that are really positive, and there's a lot of action going on to it, and they've probably been reevaluated, redone, and re-exponentiated, and I have to admit that if it's that true, reevaluation has occurred, then that's a part of my reality, and it's a multi-creationalistical aspect, and that's a part of an advanced civilization. And then, I'm all about advanced civilizations, etc., etc. More importantly, I'm all about advanced technologies for healing, advanced technologies for transportation, and advanced technologies for lifestyle, and ultimately living, and using energy, and using energy to do stuff and create things, and then manifest a reality, and obviously a reality of higher vibrational things, so joy, peace, love, and a bunch of other things, and some other things that I want to mention. It's just concrete willpower, to mental focus, to telepathy, to teleportation, and that's the things that are happening and synchronizing, and that's what's happening a lot, especially higher vibrations, 9th dimension and above. But the point is, in the Earth is obviously having a lot of fun. The point is, Nova Gaians and Nova Gaia is really expanding and ascending. So obviously that ascending cycle is pretty important. And then we have to remember cycles. Things happen in cycles, so there's planetary cycles, there's solar system cycles, and I just skipped a whole bunch of cycles because I didn't want to go through those cycles. So it's important to do that in physicality, just ascend and all that stuff. There's a lot of other things that have to do with potential, and have to do with increase, and have to do with overall blissness. And that's what's so important. Like, just add the emotion and create blissness. And there's a lot of important aspects in that, and that's what power is. That's an important part of power, and that's something that something that I want ultimately, but not to get sidetracked, obviously. So that's kind of like an important aspect that I think, that I know, that I believe is reaching out. And the thing is, the way that, the things that are going to happen to our minds is like things that we can't necessarily, it's something that we can't base off our past. We can't necessarily base our past off of what's happening. We can only necessarily exist in the now, because now is the higher dimensional realities. And that's what's forming. It's non-linear, it's quantum, it's beautiful, it's perfect. It has like a synchronicity that seems to just snap into place. And I'm giving all these analogies, but it's really about ascension, embodiment, ascension, embodiment, ascension, embodiment, ascension, embodiment, ascension, and ascension, ascension session, and then embodiment. I'm saying embodiment because there's physicality, but there's also higher vibrations, so that's important to know. I just know that, there's a lot of things that can happen telepathically. And if the entire planet... I'm not going to say that. The entire planet is telepathic. It is. Because humans have the capacity for it. We use telepathy to communicate. And we have the capacity for it because we believe it. And that's something that I need to believe. Because other beings do that. That's just something that's there. And it's not like an emotional reach, like, oh, I'm going to spend the next 30 years developing this new science called telepathy because I'm so intrigued by how the human capacity of the mind can now develop new schools that can... Come on, that's absolutely ridiculous, yet absolutely exciting. Because, Allegretto Journeyman Academy is all about the metaphysical. That's a metaphysical aspect of it, but it's not about having just because the Arcturians have already ascended and have been training per se. And I'm not saying that they're trainers. I'm just saying that there's guardians, and I'm not saying that guardians are absolute guardians, but I'm not denying that guardians are not capable of doing great things, such as guardianship. Guardians can be ancient, and there are ancient guardians, and I'm just spewing facts. But the point is, those aspects have key important aspects, and perhaps this is all just aspects of the self, and it probably is. However, ascension occurs. There's a higher self, and that's just how life works. And DNA evolves and moves and creates and is an important part of ascension, and that ultimately is a grasp, is a shape that can be comprehended. And so, but yeah, it's a huge jump. I went from Well, not went from, but like, okay. So honestly, Earth is a school. Earth is a great school. Like, that's a great way to gain understanding about ascensionary. Like, everything that's happening here is happening for a reason, and there's like a divine plan, obviously. So it's important to be a part of the planetary ascension team, but not necessarily just be a part of it, but also just kind of ascend with it and along with it, and be aware of that aspect. Time. Me personally, I noticed that there's a lot of lucidity happening in my dreams, and it happens a lot more. There's more of a meld, and that's what I'm getting at. And how do I say this? Speaking, first of all, is a lot faster than typing, but at the same time, reading is a lot slower than speaking. So, time differences happen. And I'm trying to shrink those gaps so there's less gaps between gateways and time gates and stuff like that. Who knows if there's such thing as a time gate? But still, certain things have to happen in order to create realities. And manifestation is all about that. So there's a lot of things happening with joy and unconditional love that makes things unprecedented and even unexpected. And we have to recognize that there's light shining on the darkness, and there's light shining on the light, and there's brighter light, ultra light shining on that light. So the light meshes, and it always shines through, and it's like I would describe it as like a crystal ball that glows, and then there's more light around it that glows it, but it still comes from within. So it's a brighter light that's pulling out bright light code frequencies. Who knows if this verbal description is grand enough to actually explain the grandioseness of DNA ascension. And that seems to be what I harp on a lot, because I know for a fact, okay, and I'm really excited about it, to be honest, because who knew telepathy could happen in 24 hours? And teleportation as well. But the Arcturians, for example, the high vibration, I say the Arcturians a lot because I know that they're one of the oldest galactic civilizations. They're one of the oldest civilizations in our galaxies, and one of the most advanced civilizations in our galaxies. The Arcturians and the Andromedans, and I know that for a fact. Or they've been in our galaxy for a very, very, very long time. There are some planets and some star systems that have had civilization for millions of years. But once again, I'm digressing. Years, time, etc., there's conjunctions that happen because they need to happen. And they happen because of purposes that happen on certain planets like this one. And that's why certain awesome things happen on this planet, which is why certain beings are here, and certain consciousness exists for Gaia. Exists as Gaia is a living creature, and it's important to stay. I say it's important to stay focused, but stay focused on Gaia. But Gaia is strong and expects strong, and will shake off all the fleas, and that's what's happening. It's drop off in higher vibrations, higher densities are still going up, and there's violet rays, which is eighth dimension, and that's important. Higher vibrations. Pleiadians synchronizing with dream states and dreamscapes and dreams, and that's my area of expertise. I'm an expert on lucidity, dream, transformation from physical to spiritual, and back from spiritual to physical. Or not necessarily in that order, but it doesn't really matter because it's all quantum. I do plan on doing more morning, afternoon, noon, and evening sessions instead of just evening sessions, so that the self is more aware. But once again, it's just thresholds that are being gone through. Crystalline DNA, there's diamond DNA, there's the double diamond double diamond body. Or double diamond crystalline body. Christos body. Etc., etc. I'm not going to get into more details about that. It's just what it is, and it's transforming into that, and it's just good. It's fantastic. It's supposed to happen. And these are all the light vibrations things, so obviously everything that I'm saying is positive. So I'm not even debating that fact. I'm just stating truth of light. And it's important to state the truth. And the truth will set you free. Time is different. That's what I can say. Here's the thing. I know... I was supposed to announce yesterday that I'm coming up upon my year anniversary, or July 12th, I believe. Or perhaps it's July 16th, which is some weird, crazy coincidence, but obviously it's probably more than a coincidence because I obviously created that event. But last summer, I started my 12-year campaign to be the presidential candidate. And this summer will be my 1-year anniversary. It'll be 11 years now into becoming, and it seems like a time is changed, and there's a lot that's changed, and that's an important aspect of freedom, because freedom is obviously developing and changing and growing, and that's what freedom's all about: growing and changing and developing. It truly is important to be the self. And I say that a lot, but that's just like a highlight of last explanation. Just know that things are being healed and that people have healing abilities, and that you better be using your healing abilities, because there's no reason to hesitate anymore. There's no reason to hesitate. It's just, healing is just not something that you just do willy-nilly and just go on about and just have stuff happen. There's new ways to live, and those healing is an important aspect. And I can defend myself as a healer, because for so long there's been so many reasons to have, since 2001 even, when I was, doesn't matter the age, but when I was 8 years old, since 2001 is when we should have had the NESARA and GESARA. And, maybe there's no reason to get excited about that, but there's some exciting things, some exciting bullet points in that. And just reasons to raise your vibration and to have a better planet. And I've already done trillions of steps that make heaven a lot better, that, for example, prove that heaven on earth is being paved. And there's been a bunch of articles that have been created. There's been a bunch of artwork. There's been a bunch of reports and a bunch of theses and publishings and all that jazz. And that's an important aspect to learning and leadership and development and movement and transformation and acceleration. Yet it's important to connect with Arcturians and Tarians, pretty sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Metatalkians and Bellatricians and Palladians and Syrians and Orions, and it's important to connect. It really is. And so I harp on that. DNA is important. There's a lot of healing going on, and I support the positive ones. there is a need to be free. There's a need for freedom to rule, and freedom will rule. As in, like, liberty, the law of liberty needs to exist, and it does exist. Higher vibration realms and all that news that I created about paradise and heaven on earth, and all that news I created about peace on earth and peace on Gaia, and all that news I created about the hype about making no excuses and truly be in the moment, and just all the videos that I created. Made a video pretty much every day for the past 3 years, and there's no reason to, like, give credit to the ego anymore, especially when there's so much transformation happening. And what's important to know is just chakralization. It's just go to the earth chakra, earth core chakra, and then all the way up, because there's more than just 7 chakras or 12 chakras or 18 chakras or 90 chakras. There's 144 chakras. And it's important to know that. So I end there. Well, there's no end. There's obviously no end. But I'm saying this will be the end of this broadcast. New names, new fruitions, new things. But the original name of the show was The Christopher Bowen Show. And new things happen, obviously. So I support newness because love is the greatest of things. Is one of the greatest of things. It's the greatest of things. It's powerful. It's power. Love is power. This is your host, Christopher Malcolm Curtis Bond, on this evening edition of The Christopher Bowen Show. There's lots of love in the universe, and the multiverse, and then the 12 master universes, and in the creator's universe. And I love them all. And I love you all.